Buongiorno tutti. If I was in South Africa, I would greet you in my native language. And I would say Sanibona. Someone at lunch asked me to say something. I'm of the Xhosa tribe, and we're the tribe that speaks in the cliques. So someone asked me if I could just say something in click so they could hear what it sounds like. So I'm going to share that with you. Have you ever heard anything like that before? So when we greet in our native languages, so Sanibona, for example, means I see you. My soul recognizes your soul. So it's a very beautiful way of greeting each other. Over the last 2 days that I've been here, I have been reminded again that we may look different from one another. We may speak different languages. We may represent different cultures. But what we have in common in this room is our shared humanity, our shared vision for a better world, and our commitment to leave no one behind. I love that line. We heard that a lot over the last 2 days, that this community where we are is about leaving no one behind. We all deserve a second chance in life, and we all need tools to say yes to life, whatever our challenges may be. Allow me to bring into our discussion an economy that has been described by Harvard Business Review as the third largest economy behind China and India. Women currently drive the world economy, ladies and gentlemen. We represent about $20 trillion in annual consumer spending. That is not a small amount of money. The question is, how do we leverage it to create a positive economy? Historically, traditionally, and culturally, in many parts of the world, women participate in society in strictly defined roles. Mostly women contribute as mothers, as home executives, as consumers. I just mentioned a number of $20 trillion that we contribute to the global fiscus annually. We contribute as providers of labor, or we contribute as employees. And regrettably, to a very limited extent, women participate as leaders in society, in enterprise development, or as investors. These are the three roles that shape the agenda of nations and the economies everywhere. I would like to focus my reflections to the limited role that women play as leaders, as entrepreneurs, and as investors. Why is that crucial? I'm focusing on this role because it is less well known and less discussed. It is often undervalued and underappreciated. It also does not receive the level of support that it deserves in order to contribute positively towards the economy and towards society in general. In my view, this creates a massive deficit in the economy that needs to be addressed if we want to build a positive economy, and ultimately, if we want to build an equitable and a thriving society. The reason the global economy has run out of ideas is because we have systematically excluded the meaningful participation of women from critical and strategic areas of the economy. It is a well-known fact that very few women run companies, organizations, cities, or governments. Very few women have their own assets or their wealth. Even when they are married to extremely wealthy men, they often do not get a fair share of that wealth in the event of a divorce. Very few women assume financial independence, and very few women have access to finance to either start their own businesses or to grow an existing business. Because even in the 21st century, women continue to be regarded as a risk. Perhaps we need to redefine what risk means in the 21st century, given the challenges that we see in the world. For me, the greatest risk to society is the risk of excluding a large sector of productive human capacity. It is the risk of marginalizing the contribution by women to the economy. It is the risk of depriving society with entrepreneurial ideas that are essential towards economic growth in the 21st century. And it is the risk of excluding women from the management of organizations, the management of assets, resources, and wealth in society. Allow me to share some of the groundbreaking initiatives that I have been privileged to pioneer in South Africa over the last 23 years. In 1993, about 23 years ago, South Africa became a constitutional democracy after 46 years of an apartheid political system, which legislated separate development between black and white people in the country. Prior to this milestone in our political history, women and black people in particular were by law excluded from owning a business or participating in any meaningful way in the economy. Our participation in business was defined and restricted because it was not in the interest of the state to have so-called wealthy natives. Having grown up under this system, thankfully with parents who had some education and occupied decent jobs which paid them poorly, we were in the fortunate position to be educated. I come from a family of 4, and I was among the first generation of black women to graduate with a commerce degree. I was also the first in my family to have university education. I share this otherwise irrelevant history for you so that you can appreciate the significance of what we pioneered in 1993 with 3 other women who worked in finance and who were co-founders, together with a founding board of 10 women, women that included white South African women, to lead what we started with a humble amount of an equivalent of 50,000 euro 23 years ago. What did we do? We created a portfolio investment company called WEPhold, which enabled us, after 2 years of national road shows, to educate women about the economy and our right to financial independence, to mobilize 18,000 women to become investors in the South African economy for the first time. We had to obtain a special permission from authorities to offer shares to women only. When we did our IPO in 1996, women raised 2.5 million euros of their own money, much to everyone's surprise in the country. And a year later, followed their rights and raised an additional 7.5 million euro. This was unheard of. It had never happened in the history of our country, and not in the world either. So this was truly a pioneering initiative. We started an economic revolution that transformed how women respond and participate in the South African economy. The company became the first women-owned business to list on the South African Stock Exchange in 1996. And the company has today a value of approximately 100 million euro and has paid over the 23 years dividends of 300% to women. And we know that this money was used for education of their children primarily. This is one example of what women are capable of if the environment is conducive and supportive, which was created when South Africa became a democracy. The second example I want to share relates to a massive savings scheme that is generated annually by about 11 million South African women who raise on an annual basis 4.9 billion euros through a voluntary monthly savings club. Unfortunately, this pool of money is absorbed by traditional financial institutions and creates no positive benefit for women in the economy. It does not translate into women-friendly banks, for example. What we're currently looking at is to encourage these 11 million women to contribute a once-off investment of 10 euro and to raise a fund that will enable South African women to invest in infrastructure development projects in the country. I share these two examples, hopefully to make the point that it is both possible and it is critical to assess the value of women and to measure the contribution that can be made by women towards a positive economy. My conclusion, therefore, is that we need to use the positive economy movement to mobilize the world behind what Jacques Attali said yesterday, that women think about the future and men think about the present. If that is true, then the world must invest in women to participate as leaders, as entrepreneurs, and as investors in economies wherever women are. Let me close by thanking Letizia for inviting me to join you for this third edition of the Positive Economy Forum. I was introduced to Letizia by a mutual friend that some of you know, Gunter Pauli, and we met her with my husband for lunch last year, and that resulted in my visit to this amazing community. May our shared insights and reflections shape a new agenda for the global economy, and may they provide some solutions towards some of our most pressing challenges. The work of San Patrignano is an amazing example, Letizia, and the team here that makes all of this possible, of how nations can contribute towards a positive economy, making sure that no one is left behind. Grazie mille.